In this tutorial, we're going to talk about some of the more advanced pocketing techniques in SURFCAM. Begin by going up to NC, selecting 2-axis, and moving down to Pocket. We'll chain the profile, click on Done, and we see our Tool Information tab. We're using a 1/2 inch 4-flute end mill, so now we can go to the Cut Control tab. We're set up for climb milling. Pocket cut mode is set to spiral. Our cutting depth is 1/4 inch. And we have an arc on final for both the lead in and lead out move. Select OK, accept the tool path, and as you can see here, we plunge approximately in the center of the part and move out in a straight line to the next cutter path, and again and again. We have a lead in and lead out move against the wall on the final pass, and each time we change direction, at least for the middle passes, we're coming to a sharp point and then continuing in another direction. Now, if I want to change this, it's very easy to do in SURFCAM. We can move up to the Operations Manager, right mouse click on 2-axis Pocket, move down to Regenerate Toolpath with Original Geometry, and move to the Cut Control tab. Down at the bottom, we have a checkbox that says Enable High-Speed Machining. If I check this box, I'm given a minimum and a maximum radius. This is the minimum and maximum radius that an arc will be blended between the sharp corners of the cutter path. I can disable this arc move when I approach the wall on the finishing passes simply by clicking on this checkbox. I'm going to click OK here and take a look at what the path looks like. As you can see, there's a big difference. We now plunge still in about the middle of the part, but each time we transition to the next path, we arc off the previous one, straight line move, arc into the next one. If I zoom out and look at the corners, instead of a sharp point, we now have a radius blended there. This will occur all the way to the final pass against the wall. What this means for you is that the cutter will no longer be stopping in the middle of the cut, but will have continuous motion from the beginning to the end. One concern during pocketing will be your Z-axis moves into the material. If you don't have a center cutting end mill, this can be a problem. If you look at this example, if we zoom up on the part, you'll see that our plunge moves are straight into the material. When we reach peck depth, we stay at that level until we've machined at that Z level completely, and we return back to center and plunge down to the next Z level. If I go to the Operations Manager and right mouse click on our toolpath and then left mouse click on Regenerate Toolpath with Original Geometry, I can go to the Cut Control tab, and in the bottom right corner we have a button called Plunge Type. When I click on the word plunge and then click on the arrow next to the word plunge type, you can see we have 4 different ways of entering the material: plunge, ramp, helical, and peck. A plunge move is a straight move into the material and requires a center cutting end mill. Ramp is a ramping move into the material, and helical is a helical move into the material. Neither ramp nor helical require a center cutting end mill. Peck is like a plunge move, except it will peck the material down to the Z level. If I change my plunge type to ramp and select OK and click OK again, if we zoom up on the part this time, we can see a ramping move back and forth into the part until we reach our first peck level. If I go back to the Operations Manager and right mouse click, left mouse click Regenerate Toolpath with Original Geometry, back to Cut Control, back to Ramp, and change Ramp to Helical, and click again, and OK, you can see this time we have a helical move into the part, which is very apparent when you look at the front view. So, if you don't have a center cutting end mill and need to get down into the material easily, just select ramp or helical for your plunge type. Another consideration when pocketing is what to do if you want the tool to plunge at a particular location before beginning your pocket cycle. That is, for example, if you have a pre-drilled hole in the pocket area. In this example, the green circle represents where we want to plunge, and the outer perimeter here represents the pocket we want to machine. To begin, I'm going to move up to NC, 2-axis, and I'll move down to Pocket. Select Pocket, and we begin by chaining the pocket boundary. The next thing we do is move up to the button marked Plunge and click on it. I want to plunge in the center of this green circle here. So up at the top, I click on Center, click on the edge of the green circle, and then move up and click Done. Click Done again because we have no more geometry to chain. And now our tool information comes up. I'm going to stick with a 1/2-inch 4-flute end mill and move over to Cut Control. I have Climb Cutting, Spiral. We're cutting a 1/2 inch deep, 1/4 inch at a time. Arc on Final for the lead in move, arc on Final for the lead out, and our plunge type is set to a straight plunge. This is all correct, so I'm going to click OK and accept the toolpath. If we look at this, you can see a toolpath line coming from the center of the circle to the midsection of the pocket before we begin machining. If I rotate this around and look at this in an isometric view, you can see we plunge in the center of the circle, move to the center, pocket at that Z level, come back, plunge down in the circle again, and then back out to machine the rest of the pocket. It's just that easy.